wake up to the question. I make cream and all this. Certainly, was life in Flagstaff.
Well, life in Flagstaff is complex because this is occupied territories, and this is ongoing struggle for cultural survival and vitality for indigenous people. It's winter, it's a new year, at least the Christian calendar new year. We already celebrated New Year traditionally back in October. So it's a little cold, it's a little chilly, but one of the most disturbing facts that I found recently this year, and this was a document that was shared with me by one of the city council members here in Flagstaff, was the annual report for police arrests in Flagstaff. So this is looking annually at their report for 2014. They had out of over 6,000 arrests, half of them were Native American people, and so indigenous people. And so if you look at the 2010 census here in Flagstaff, there's only 7,000 Native people who are listed as living here as residents of Flagstaff. So either half of us, or about half of us, 3,000, people who've been arrested, Native people arrested in 2014, are all criminals, or there's some serious racial profiling here. So it's good, but it's challenging. That's life in Flagstaff, especially for indigenous people. We face a lot of racial profiling and ongoing challenges just in our fight for cultural survival and vitality.
So, what did you do for your holidays?
What I did for my holidays was really just to enjoy time with family and Princess, my amazing partner, her family up in the Shiprock area of the sort of northern part of the res. Hosted just some celebrations, birthday parties, etc. I'm not really a Christmas kind of person because there's so much consumerism, wanton consumerism, and just plain blatant capitalism that is attributed to that day, where people feel like they need to buy affections or reward people for their role in society. And there's a lot of pressure, and that usually translates to a lot of depression, especially in impoverished communities. And so I try to get outside of that psychology of oppression and consumerism. So I usually just like to just enjoy, make things with my hands, try to be as creative as possible, and just to enjoy and celebrate life and love and all the things I have to be grateful for. So I actually really look forward to New Year's, even though it's not, something that I recognize as like a traditional time, but it's mainly just because it's a milestone, it's a marker. So I like to sort of keep up with other folks and mark things. I watched Star Wars too. That was cool. It's quite interesting seeing the new part of the narrative in relation to the fight against Empire.
May your force be with you.
Yes, absolutely. And you watch Star Wars too?
Yeah.
What did you do for your holidays? Or can I? Does it work like this? Can I ask you questions? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What did you do for your holidays?
I saw a bunch of movies.
Bunch of
I
movies.
saw Star Wars. They were pretty good. I thought they were kind of corny.
What was the last part?
They were corny.
Oh, it was corny. It can't be Star Wars without being corny. I mean, if you look at episode 1, 2, and 3, I mean, those are really hard to stomach. And you look at the acting from episode 4, like Luke Skywalker definitely was a whiny little brat. But
Yeah, but I didn't need that guy.
oh yeah, Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
So why is that people have these kinds of affections for pop culture like villains? Why do you like Kylo Ren?
And because he did have father and all. and he's trying to find his path.
So the internal conflict, mainly, yeah, with the dark and the light. So you relate to that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you trash your room with a lightsaber though? You trash your room though. We get mad.
I feel like
You would like to, in your mind. Do you use Jedi mind tricks on Andy? Do your bidding?
maybe
Oh, okay. You don't want me to give out all your secrets. Yeah, it's quite interesting in relation to the narratives in the Force and the dark side. I'm curious as to how you feel about anger and maybe what you do to address anger in your life.
I just love the Jedi, like the police.
The Jedis are like the police.
Yeah, they got like peacekeepers.
Do you mean that in a good way or a bad way?
Probably both.
Both, yeah. Oh, I don't like police, so to me, I just take that as a bad thing. Well, it's interesting though, because that is one analysis in relation to Star Wars, is that the Republic is trying to keep too much order, and there's no gray area. They all want complete good, and it becomes a sort of authoritarian, element of like what good is. And part of the way I've heard people, without getting too geeky with this, is that something we can risk here? Is that some folks have an analysis that the dark side actually likes to have that gray area too. Like there's a different sort of area in relation to not having total order. But then, of course, if you look at the First Order, that's really pretty much obviously based on like Nazi Germany and National Socialist Party and so forth. That's pretty scary.
But I wonder how many planets do they have? They keep blowing them up.
Yeah. I definitely don't romanticize or find affection with the First Order. I mean, the stormtroopers, they're obviously Nazis. Essentially, it's like I look at them more as cops, except for like John Boyega's character, Finn. Is quite complex and very interesting and a very different shift. But that was surprising that all these racists were like threatening to boycott Star Wars. What did you think about that?
I feel kind of ridiculous because it's just Star Wars. It doesn't have to make sense.
Well, I think it's great that they're finally more meaningfully addressing like sort of race issues in an indirect fashion with a co-lead character, and so it's great that people were upset. It's like it's in the future maybe things are much better as far as racial relations, and people should let go today of their old hat racial prejudices so we can have a better future. But obviously there's struggle in that imaginary future as well. Science fiction from white minds is really concerning though.
So what's it like being a rock star?
What's it like being a rock star? So I take that as a bit of an insult because I never necessarily consider myself a rock star. I played music for 20 years with a band called Blackfire and played on lots of stages and before lots of people and recorded albums. So on some levels I could see how people could ascribe that nomenclature. But usually rock stars are like people who have like overinflated egos and they've sold their soul to whoever they can to get where they are and screwed as many people over as they can to achieve whatever success, by industry terms as they could. But that being said, in 2011, when the San Francisco peak struggle was escalating and Snowball was starting to initiate construction on the peaks, I decided that a guitar wasn't as effective as my body to stop bulldozers from desecrating the sacred mountain. And so I sort of stopped playing music and hung my guitar, and because you can still play music and celebrate and support and promote cultures of resistance and liberation. But at that time, I felt like being a musician was not the focus that I should be having. And so I feel like I'm more of a recovering musician. I'm starting to play music a little bit more. So I wouldn't call myself a rock star. I'd call myself a recovering musician. Does that answer your question, or was that just evasive? Did I just sidestep your question? Because playing music is great, and having a career, that you can support yourself through musical expression, creative expression, is really awesome, man. And it's a hard thing to do, but it's awesome, because you get to travel, you get to, just do what you love, your craft. But when it becomes like a labor, when it becomes more of a career, that's when it's like the path to the dark side.
So I understand that you work with OIBN as Native Youth Group. So what's that?
Well, Out of Your Backpack Media is an Indigenous youth response to the need for media justice in our communities. So we focus on media literacy and media justice with workshops that are free and accessible to Indigenous youth, primarily high school age. And we really just provide like this sort of space for free expression. We try to make sure that people are aware of whatever the message is, and that's the media literacy component, that they understand that media can impact our identity, especially as Indigenous people, where we've disproportionately been, characterized very in racial ways in contemporary pop culture. But we have the tools, we have the power, just like you're doing, making your own media and telling your own stories today. And so that's really powerful. And I'm always inspired. I'm always excited. The amazing, things happen when young folks are just sitting down, brainstorming, and finding ways to collaborate with new tools for creative expression. And so Out of Your Backpack Media has sort of shifted more recently because, media is so accessible these days. Just 10 years ago, it was quite expensive to, have a computer, laptop, HD camera and all that, but you can, basically capture video and audio and edit just in a handheld pocket device, like a smartphone or something. So I think it's awesome. I always get excited. OIBM is definitely something that I love. It's all volunteer, collectively run. So yeah, I get excited when people just tell their own stories, especially with an understanding of responsibility to like what the larger media justice issues are.
Maybe cool. So what's your favorite prank that you have done?
My favorite prank that I've done?
Yeah.
I have to think about that one. Ones that come to the top of my head. We might have to come back to that one. You might have to ask me another question, and I'll come back to it, because I'm trying to think of ones that the statute of limitations have run out on. So anything that I can share that. I can tell you pranks that I've heard of. How about that I didn't do in any way, shape, or form, or was a part of in any way, shape, or form. One time, when the San Francisco Peaks issue was escalating here in Flagstaff, I think this was like 2000 and I want to say 2004, but I can't remember the year right now. Don't ask me years, dates. You can look it up, Google it. There was a mayoral candidate debate or forum at the Museum of Northern Arizona here, and during the debate, questions were asked about the Peaks issue and so forth. And the Peaks issue, for those of you who don't know, check out protectthepeaks.org. It's also on Facebook, but it's there's a holy mountain here sacred to 13 indigenous nations. The ski resort Arizona Snowball is trying to make snow out of treated sewage and clear cut thousands of acres of old growth forests, all for recreation. And so we've been fighting them for years. And so just after this forum, the mayor came out, and on his car was a toilet that said, "How would you like it, Joe?" Because his name was Joe Donaldson. And it was just this crazy action that someone had done, because my brother and I were inside the forum, actually, and we had interviewed the mayor subsequent to the forum, just asking him about his position on the Peaks issue and challenging him on a few things. And so he came out, and on his car was this big toilet. And I thought that was funny. So that wasn't a prank I did, but it was a prank I saw and heard a lot about, just because it was in the media. And the mayor even went so far as to like hire a private detective to like follow my brother around and like basically stalk him with law enforcement. It's just crazy. But yeah. What about you? What's the craziest or funniest prank you've done? And now I just, again, I didn't do that prank.
I'm not really sure.
You're not willing to tell. I see. That's okay. Don't divulge it here. We can talk privately off camera.
I did take my aunt's keys. They were pretty fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can actually. Where are my keys? Keep my keys safe from you.
So if you had a superpower, what would it be?
So if I had a superpower, it would definitely be the ability to duplicate myself or replicate myself. So I could be many places at once. So, for example, I could be chaining myself to a bulldozer and stopping desecration of a sacred place. I could also be editing a film. I could be working on music in a new album. I could be doing art projects all around town. I could do speaking engagements and travel to different places. And so, I think it would definitely be like the doppelganger or something. And how about you?
I would like to fly.
To fly.
I see different things. I think it would be cool to just be able to fly away and go wherever. I think that would be nice.
And didn't we do a short film at the first Out of Your Backpack Media workshop you were part of? Yeah, about flying and superheroes. That was awesome. Yeah. So if you get a chance, viewers, check it out.
So it was great talking to you.
Are we done already? Are you kicking me off your show? I see how it is. That's fine. As long as we don't say anything or you try to ask me any more incriminating questions. Thank you so much for having me on your show, too. I really appreciate it. Anytime. We should just start our own show together, too. It'd be awesome. I'll have you on my show. Maybe I'll start a show. And I'll ask you questions, crazy questions.
Fight the power.
Fight the power.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sunjay. Yeah.